So a bit of a disclaimer about this deck, I guess. It probably shouldn't be as low curve as it is, but I intentionally lowered the curve of the deck because when Menagerie Warden comes out, and then your curve stops with Menagerie Warden and you play 2 Stranglethorn Tigers, like if I build a deck like that anyway, but without Menagerie Warden, then there's like no point in playing it. So I just made it a lower curve than I'm expecting the typical Beast Druids will look. So might be a fun deck for a couple weeks. Probably gets outclassed by a slightly heavier list when Menagerie Warden comes out. But maybe the aggression in the deck is enough to make it an alternative of some sort. Probably just gonna play out my Mounted Raptor here. It's a really good 1-drop. Has a 3/2 on the front end. I can play my Druid of the Saber next turn pretty easily. Don't really need to save the Innervate for like a 7-drop or something, because my curve stops at a single Druid of the Claw. Alright, just play this guy in Panther form, just because that has more stats. Don't really have a whole lot of reason to specifically push 2 damage here. Misha is a pretty good card. So I guess the problem with swiping is he's probably playing Infested Wolf next turn. And Infested Wolf's Death Rattle leaves behind 2 really good swipe targets. But what am I going to do otherwise? Savage Roar, just trade in my 2/1 and then go face for 2? I don't know about that. I guess I could Wrath Hero Power it, or cycle Wrath and trade in my 3/2. But I don't really want to like trade off my board. So I guess it would be Wrath Coin Hero Power or Swipe. And Wrath is just a more flexible card. So I like the Swipe here. It's really nice to AoE a bunch of stuff with Swipe, but sometimes just dealing 4 damage with something that deals 4 damage is pretty good. That can't feel good. He spent 4 mana dealing with my 2-drop, and gave me a free turn to develop my Savage Combatant. Wow. That was desperate. So this obviously hits him in the face for 5. I'm probably charging this guy in. And I guess I'm making saplings. Set up for a Savage Roar lethal next turn. Seems like a pretty realistic win. Probably needs Unleash the Hounds here. Looks like he didn't have it. So he either had the worst mid-range hunter curve that anyone's ever had, or he was playing a more defensive hunter, which I think is probably more likely.
Malfurion versus Uther. I will fight with honor. I must protect the wild.
So Paladins right now. I would imagine something controlling that's trying to take advantage of Ivory Knight. But what he's playing doesn't really affect my mulligan all that much. I just want cheap minions to vomit onto the board in the first few turns. Really sucks to miss a 1-drop here. I have 5 dedicated 1-drops, and then I also have Innervate plays. So missing a 1-drop for this deck is pretty unlikely. Missing a 1 and a 2 is extremely unlikely. I only have 11 cards that cost more than 2 mana. Although I guess like Wrath and Mark of Yasharaj don't really count.
Reporting for duty.
So I'm playing an extremely aggressive list, and I got off to an extremely tame start. So I can't imagine that I can win this game. But if his deck is super slow, maybe I can still outpace him. I obviously just played the Raptor there because I guess I could have, like, hero powered down as 1/1 or something, but that can't be too good, can it? I don't really like playing the Savage Combatant here because we're going into his True Silver Champion turn. I don't really like playing Mark of Yasharaj for the same reason. Although I guess if he has to send... No, if he sends True Silver into that, that's still pretty bad for me. So I guess the play here is hero power down one of his dudes and then play a Stealth Panther. Can't really justify, like, face swiping against this board.
Another night on the prowl.
His deck hasn't seemed very aggressive so far, so I probably don't need to care about, like, Blessing of Kings. And he's not gonna, like, play Equality this turn. I'm just gonna hit him in the face, get in 3 damage. Like I said, my deck is pretty aggressive. Although maybe because I was off to such a slow start, I need to make greedier plays. Alright, so it's a Murloc Paladin. Would have been really nice if I got a 1-drop with more than 1 health there, but I think 1 health is the average. Or maybe not the average, but the most typical result. If I play Savage Combatant, his Consecration is really good. The other play, I guess, is either Cycle Wrath or Hero Power into this guy, and then Mark of Yasharaj this guy. It's kind of weak to the True Silver Champion that I was worried about earlier, but I might be getting to the point where I'm so desperate to apply pressure that I can't really play around True Silver. But the Savage Combatant is probably worse because it's weak to both True Silver and Consecration. So I just want to see what I draw off this first, I guess. And I think I do need to cycle a Wrath here. My hand really sucks. I'll just hit him in the face for 5 here. The difference between this getting True Silvered and a Savage Combatant getting True Silvered is this guy already gets in 5 damage. So if he True Silvers into it, he takes 8 damage to clear it. So I can clear this with, like, swipe Hero Power, swipe Wrath. I could swipe, send my dude in, and either Mark of Yasharaj or Living Roots on it. I can also, like, mark, trade in, Wrath the other one, and then play Living Roots. Or mark, cycle Wrath and Hero Power into the 3/2. This feels like another turn where the Savage Combatant... Oh wait, I can just play Savage Combatant and Inspire. But then I can't kill his Pyro. Whatever, I have 2 Savage Combatants. I guess I'm more scared of the Pyromancer than the Eldar Peacekeeper. Because with just 1 spell, he can trade into my Savage Combatant. I actually had a ton of plays last turn. But I think True Silver was better than Peacekeeper Pyromancer last turn, so I'm pretty confident he doesn't have one. So my Savage Combatant feels quite a bit better here. The problem is that I had 2 minions and 5 spells in my hand. And I made a play using a minion, so now I'm down to 1 minion, 5 spells, but I do have 2 pieces of card draw. Living Roots is kind of a minion.
Move quickly. Let me think.
Ivory Knight. He didn't give himself much time to think. Build for 4, so... Consecration, Blessing of Kings, Hammer of Wrath. I think it's just those 3. I guess the best thing I can do is clear his board. If I just clear with, like, swipe... If I swipe, I have 3 mana left over. I can do, like, Living Roots for damage, and then mark my 1/1. Also just Hero Power with the Combatant. I have 5 mana left over.
Time waits for no one.
I think I like buffing this guy, and then doing the swipe Living Roots. Maybe it was better to make the Living Roots minions, and instead of playing Mark, a Hero Power down his dude. That makes my Panther do 2 less damage this turn. Makes my board more vulnerable to the Consecration that he could have picked up. But it makes my Savage Roars potentially very good. Although I would have gotten destroyed by Pyro Hammer. I guess I'm at least a little bit glad I didn't do that. Wonder if I have lethal. I can cast Swipe Double Savage Roar. I have 3 on board, Swipe is 7. Each Savage Roar is another 4. That looks like 15 damage to me. 12 in hand. Okay, let's swipe first, because if I'm wrong, this is the least stupid play. Well then. I'm very surprised that I won that game. I think that was actually a pretty interesting game that I'm going to pay quite a bit of attention to when I watch it back. There were had a lot of options that game, and I'm not sure that I played it optimally. I think the play that would have gotten blown out by a second Pyro... Oh, Legend versus level 4, or rank 4. I think the play that I was talking about that would have gotten blown out by second Pyro plus Hammer of Wrath, yeah, Hammer of Wrath. I think that might have been the best play just because that clear was so unlikely. It was somewhat weak to Consecration, but it probably left a Savage Combatant on board, which can push a lot of damage on its own. So even though I probably would have lost the game if I made that play, it may have been the best play. Coin Panther into Marquee Asheraj is really strong. Although against a warrior, he's probably just going to Fiery War Axe the Panther when I play it. So maybe I shouldn't keep the Mark. Maybe it's a little bit too unreliable. Maybe I don't even keep the Panther. What's better? Enchanted Raven's better, Living Roots is better, Finley's better, Tyrant's better. I guess I'm keeping it because I didn't give myself enough time to think about it, rambling on about last game. Well, if I draw a 1-drop, this is... or even a 2-drop because I have coin. This is the easiest curve in the world. What are the chances I draw a 2-drop next turn? I have another Panther, 2 Marks, 2 Druid of the Saber, 2 Direwolf Alpha, 2 Aspirant. I have a lot of 2s if I coin this out. But if I don't draw one of them, I look pretty dumb. I can also draw into Innervate to play Savage Combatant next turn. Maybe I should just try to play Mounted Raptor next turn because Power of the Wild has some flexibility if I hold on to it and don't play it as a Panther. Man, it's amazing how many different lines of play I have just because I have the coin. I think I'm gonna pass here and tilt my opponent since I waited 70 seconds and then passed my turn without doing anything. Wrath. I think it's better to just hero power here. There's no real reason to cycle the Wrath, and there's obviously no reason to play either of these because they just out of the loot order. There's no real reason to cycle the Wrath because my hand is fine. I have on-curve plays for the next 3 turns. I have removal. I have Power of the Wild, which is kind of a flexible card. So no reason to cycle the Wrath here, I don't think.
Let the pain speak to me.
Probably just play a Mounted Raptor into that. I could also coin out the Enchanted Raven, but it lets his Acolyte hit into it for a free draw. I guess another option... I guess Enchanted Raven Wrath is pretty reasonable. But is that better than... Unearth... what's this thing called? Mounted Raptor? Is that better than Mounted Raptor? Mounted Raptor... I guess Mounted Raptor is a little bit risky, because if it gets hero... or if it gets Fiery War Axed, it can drop something that Acolyte can run into for free. It also gives him the option to like Inner Rage his own Acolyte, or just drop like a Ravaging Ghoul. Like, Blood to Ichor Ravaging Ghoul would be really sick. So I think I'm just gonna clear it with Wrath. The standalone pressure from the Enchanted Raven isn't that much less than the Mounted Raptor here. 2-2 versus 3-2. And I think the Mounted Raptor has a lot of I guess like nightmare scenarios.
Armor made to fit.
Alright, the Armor Smith is a little bit strange. I was assuming that this was just a Worgen OTK warrior, because, you know, Loot Hoarder, Acolyte, those are the kind of cards that you find in that deck. The Armor Smith might indicate that this is like a patron list. I could charge Druid of the Claw into the Armor Smith, but then his Fiery War Axe just kills it. Pretty low value swipe. If I just drop the Savage Combatant, his weapon plus Armor Smith kills it. What do I do? Just play Mounted Raptor? My turn here really sucks. Maybe I just defense mode my Druid of the Claw. It's like the only play that doesn't get wrecked by Fiery War Axe.
Where shall I strike? Time waits for no one.
Do you like to play with fire?
I get a little bit punished by Pyro Slam. This is actually not even that bad for me. Mounted Raptor Hero Power is really good against this board. Savage Combatant's not really an option. Swipe looks like a good clear, but it's off curve and I don't develop anything. So I think Hero Power is definitely happening. And then when 3 mana left, Mounted Raptor just makes the most sense.
For the wild.
Two mana, draw 2 cards, pretty good. This is going to be a really passive turn from him, it looks like. So if I just drop the Savage Combatant here, there's not really a whole lot he can do about it. Actually, how does he even answer that? He's played 2 slams, I guess like Ichor, second Fiery War Axe, some kind of execute play. I really don't like playing a Savage Combatant when the Inspire effect doesn't get that much value. But I might just have to here. Makes a lot of sense. I can also just Hero Power and double 2-drop. I also don't really like playing Direwolf Alpha when he doesn't get any value. At least 2 minions on the board that are vulnerable to Fiery War Axe. I think I like the Savage Combatant best. I could have also cycled the Wrath there instead of Hero Powering, but I have enough cards in my hand. My hand is, like, fine. I don't need to cycle the Wrath here. It's a pretty bad commanding shout. It probably tells me that his hand sucks. Looks like he has Ichor Execute. I don't know, I'm pretty on the fence about what the best play was last turn. Obviously this punishes the Savage Combatant, but like just the second Fiery War Axe kind of punished the other play. But he has played 1 War Axe I hadn't seen him execute yet. I guess the Combatant was also pretty bad to like Ravaging Ghoul plus Fiery War Axe. Maybe it was wrong to play Savage Combatant last turn. The more I think about it, the less I like it. I think this turn I'm just gonna Wrath and play double 2-drop. The bad thing about that is my hand kinda becomes a little bit worse when I do that. I kinda want to cycle the Wrath, but I don't really have mana to cycle the Wrath efficiently.
Time waits for no one.
So I guess the question is, do I play Direwolf Alpha or a Panther? And I think I'm just gonna play the play a Panther here.
Time waits for no
Makes my
one.
hand more flexible next turn. I can just play Direwolf Alpha for a buff. Well, I guess I can also play Power of the Wild for a buff too. That's not good. Still thinking about that Savage Combatant play. If I had mana for Direwolf Alpha, Argent Horse Rider Swipe, this could be a sick clear. But Horse Rider Direwolf Alpha is pretty fine too. Might even just play the Panther with it. My hand becomes really weak at that point. I could also just like double 2-drop plus swipe. I don't really like that too much though. I think I just like playing stuff on the board. I'm pretty sure his deck doesn't have... Actually, I'm pretty sure his deck doesn't have Brawl is what I was gonna say. Is there any chance I just go face here? Probably not, right? Can't really leave a Grommash up. And trading like this doesn't really make my board that much worse. I get to keep 3 minions on board. Okay, it is a Patron Warrior. I don't have spell damage for my swipe, so this is probably the turn I lose the game. He may have gone a little bit too hard on those patrons. He killed one off, but how do I recover from this? I don't really, is like the answer. My plan now might have to be like trying to fatigue him, but he has like a lot of damage on board. I have a hard time envisioning a win from this point. He has 15 power on board. His Grommash is dead, so I don't think he can kill me this turn. Interesting. I actually had a pretty good hand this game, I thought. And then I got wrecked. Whereas last game I had a disastrously bad hand. So swipe Horse Rider Hero Power is actually not a bad clear. If I swipe this guy, I kill these two, and Hero Power into this guy. Puts me down to 10. My Horse Rider into one of these. So I can kill 4 of his patrons, leave him with a 1 health patron. I'm at 10, he has 8 power on board, I think. I mean, this obviously isn't ideal, but I don't think I'm dead on board. And he's played Grommash, he can't interrage any of this stuff. He does still have another Fiery War Axe. I don't know, I think there's some chance I could stabilize this game, but I'd probably need to get pretty lucky. Yeah, I don't really have any card draw left in the deck. Yeah, I probably can't win. He ignores my Horse Rider, and I draw Swipe next turn. Like if he plays a Frothing Berserker here, and then I can just swipe it. Hero Power, he doesn't draw Fiery War Axe. Then past that point my Hero Power will get me out of range of the Fiery War Axe. Oh, he's dead. He just killed himself. Yogg loves me more than it loves him. Oh my god. I'm probably dead this turn, but... Oh, heal me! Heal me! Yes! No! What? Oh, he played Embrace the Shadow! Oh, no. Yogg. Yogg. Alright, well, I think I won 2 out of 3. I thought the deck was going to be trash, and one of the games that I won I had a terrible opener, so maybe there's actually some merit to a more aggressive version of the Beast Druid. I do think that when we get Menagerie Warden, though, you just kind of cut the 2 Dire Wolves. Maybe... How many more slots do you need? You need 5. You need 2nd Druid of the Claw, 2 Stranglethorn Tigers, and 2 Menagerie Wardens. So you cut the 2 Dire Wolves. You cut the Horse Riders, maybe? Although that leaves you with not that many 3s. You might also want to play Druid of the Flame in that deck. I don't know. Point is, you just do something like this and make it less aggressive. Maybe you cut Living Roots from that list. 2 Dire Wolves, 2 Living Roots, 2 Horse Riders. That leaves you with all of your top end and one of Druid of the Flame, so maybe that's a good place to start with the list. Anyway, deck performed better than I thought it would, so pleasantly surprised.